Welcome back to Ancestral Garden. I want to show you a weapon. It does not look like a weapon. It looks like a monster. It has rough spiked skin. It bleeds a sticky white glue that ruins everything it touches, and it grows to the size of a human being. But inside this terrifying shell is the holy grail of survival. Imagine a single tree that requires zero water, zero fertilizer, and zero labor. Yet every year it drops 2,000 pounds of food into your backyard. That is nearly 1 ton of calories. That is not a garden crop. That is a biological factory. To put that in perspective, one of these trees produces more food than 50 tomato plants combined. Most gardening channels will not talk about this tree because it is too big and too ugly. But here at Ancestral Garden, we do not care about aesthetics. We care about survival. If you want to build a food supply that actually secures your family's future, make sure you are subscribed to this channel right now, because we are about to change the way you see food. So here is the mystery. If this tree is so powerful, why is it not in every backyard in America? Why isn't it solving world hunger? Because for 300 years this tree was stigmatized. It was used by empires as a tool to fuel slavery, and modern shoppers are afraid of it because they do not know how to open it without destroying their kitchen. Today I am going to introduce you to the jackfruit, but simply planting it is not enough. You have to know how to tame it. By the end of this video, I will show you exactly how to harvest this monster without getting trapped in its glue, and how to turn its unripened flesh into a meat supply that will last your family for years. Today, we are going to break down the history, the science, and the survival potential of the monster known as the jackfruit. If you have never seen one in real life, it looks like something from the age of dinosaurs. It is covered in thousands of small, hard spikes. It is green, and it is massive. The jackfruit holds the world record for being the largest tree-borne fruit on the planet. While an avocado weighs maybe 0.5 pounds, a single jackfruit can weigh anywhere from 10 to 100 pounds. That is correct. One piece of fruit can weigh as much as a small human. It is so heavy that the branches cannot hold it. The fruit actually grows directly out of the main trunk of the tree. It looks like an alien parasite clinging to the bark. But calling it a fruit is actually a misunderstanding. It is 3 crops in one. When it is young and green, it is a vegetable with a texture exactly like pulled pork. When it is ripe and yellow, it is a sweet fruit that tastes like a mix of pineapple and banana. And inside each fruit are hundreds of seeds that can be boiled or roasted like chestnuts, providing a massive source of starch and protein. So you have meat, you have dessert, and you have potatoes, all growing from one unkillable tree. This incredible efficiency is why it is a miracle for survival. But 300 years ago, this same efficiency was used for a much darker purpose. In the mid-17th century, the Portuguese Empire brought the jackfruit from India to Brazil. They did not bring it because they loved the taste. They brought it as a strategic asset. To run the massive sugar and coffee plantations, they needed to feed thousands of enslaved people. Importing wheat or beef was expensive. It cut into their profits. But jackfruit was the solution. It grows fast. It produces 2,000 pounds of food per tree, and it requires $0 in maintenance. It was the perfect biological fuel for the machinery of slavery. It allowed plantation owners to extract maximum labor for minimum cost. But nature does not like to be controlled. The jackfruit was so strong and so aggressive that it escaped the plantations. It invaded the Tijuca rainforest in Rio de Janeiro. It grew faster than the native trees. It blocked out the sun and killed the local vegetation. Today in Brazil, it is considered an invasive species, a green monster that takes over entire forests. But for the survival gardener, this history proves one undeniable fact. This plant is a survivor. It dominates the landscape. It fights for its own existence. And that is exactly the kind of ally you want when the world gets tough. But the power of the jackfruit is not just its size. It is the nutritional density hidden inside. It is the only crop in the world that can replace your pig pen, your orchard, and your pharmacy all at the same time. Stage 1 is the unripe green fruit. You harvest it before it gets soft. At this stage, it is a textural masterpiece. When you cook it, the fibers break down and mimic the texture of pulled pork. But unlike pork, it is packed with massive amounts of dietary fiber. This keeps you full for hours on very little food, which is critical when rationing supplies. You get the satisfaction of meat without the cholesterol and without the hassle of raising livestock. Stage 2 is the ripe fruit. If you leave it on the tree for a few more weeks, it transforms into high-octane fuel. The flesh turns bright yellow and sweet-tasting like a mix of pineapple and banana. Nutritionally, this is your energy shot. It is loaded with simple carbohydrates for instant power. And here is a fact most people do not know. Jackfruit contains more potassium than a banana. This is essential for preventing muscle cramps when you are working hard in the field. It also contains high levels of B vitamins to help your nervous system handle stress. Stage 3 is the seeds. Inside one single jackfruit, you might find 100 to 500 large seeds. Do not throw these away. They are the most valuable part. They are rich in protein, iron, and calcium. When boiled or roasted, they taste like chestnuts or potatoes, providing the heavy starch you need to maintain body weight. So you have meat for satisfaction, fruit for energy, and seeds for strength, all growing from one unkillable tree. It sounds perfect. So why is everyone not growing it? Because there is a sticky barrier. The answer is simple. Convenience. The jackfruit has a defense mechanism that drives modern consumers crazy. Latex. When you cut into the fruit, it bleeds a sticky white sap that is stronger than superglue. If you touch it with your bare hands, you will be scrubbing for days. If it gets on your shirt, that shirt is ruined forever. If it gets on your knife, it will not wash off with water. To harvest this weapon, you need a strategy. You must coat your knife and your hands in cooking oil before you make the first cut. The oil neutralizes the glue. Most people are too lazy for this. They want easy food wrapped in plastic. But the survivalist knows that a little bit of effort yields a massive reward. The second barrier is geography. The jackfruit is a tropical beast. It thrives in zones 9 through 11, places like Florida, Hawaii, or Southern California. It cannot survive a hard freeze. But if you live in a cold climate, do not click away yet. You might not be able to grow the tree, but you can still stockpile the weapon. Young green jackfruit is widely available in cans. Because it is preserved in brine, it has a shelf life of 2 to 5 years. It is cheap, it is dense, and it is the perfect meat substitute to store in your pantry for when fresh meat becomes a luxury. So whether you grow the tree in the south or stack the cans in the north, you need to integrate this crop into your system. So here is the truth. We live in a world that relies on fragile annual crops like corn and wheat. One drought, one flood, or one supply chain disruption, and they are gone. But the jackfruit stands tall. It fed empires. It fed enslaved people. It fed armies in the jungle. And one day it might feed you. It is big. It is messy. It is difficult to handle. But survival is not about convenience. It is about calories. This tree proves that nature provides abundance if you are willing to look past the ugly exterior and put in the work. So I challenge you. Do not just look at this as a fruit. Look at it as a biological fortress. If you live in the heat, plant a tree today. If you live in the cold, stockpile the cans today. Because having a food source that yields 2,000 pounds a year is not just gardening. It is a declaration of independence. If you are ready to add this monster to your survival plan, I want you to type the words "green weapon" in the comments below. Share this video with a friend who thinks growing food is too hard. Hit the like button if you respect the power of nature. And subscribe to Ancestral Garden, because when the supermarket shelves are empty, the trees will still be full.